now we are going to define the subring of a ring. So let us start subring. So a non-empty subset suppose we have the subset A plus star A is called subring of ring R plus dot if A is itself a ring with respect to operations of R. So R has two operations, plus and dot, and this set A will become a ring with respect to the operation of plus and dot. So we call it induced operation because being an operation, it is a map from R cross R to R, and this is a map from R cross R to R. As soon as we are saying that it is an operation on A, because A is itself a ring with respect to the operations of R, means this plus is also an operation on A, means plus is also a map from A cross A to A, and dot is also a map from A cross A to A, means these maps have domain A cross A. So we can say that the operations on A is induced by the operations on R. So some books also write it as that A is a ring with respect to the induced operations of R. Okay, so suppose A plus dot is a subring of R plus dot. So what does it mean? It means simply, first thing, that A plus is an abelian group. Second thing, A dot is semi group. And third thing, distributive law holds on A. So distributive law holds on A. So there are two distributive laws, so you can write distributive laws holds on A. So actually distributive law is for all the elements of R, and A is a subset of R, so distributive law will always hold on A. So this is always true, that this will always hold on any subset. So the thing which we need to check is that if we want to check that whether a given subset is a subring or not, we need to check that is it an abelian group, and second thing is that is it a semi group or not. Again, in semi group there are two conditions. One is dot should be a binary operation, and another is associativity. So associativity holds on whole of R. So associativity holds for each and every elements of A also. So this is also redundant, means it is always true. The only thing we need to check here is that this operation is a binary operation. So suppose I have a subset. So a subset A of R is subring if and only if first, so A plus is an abelian group. This plus is same as this plus, so it means A plus is a subgroup of R plus. And while doing group theory and defining subgroup, we have done in lecture 6a of group theory. A test for being a subgroup. So we can apply that test here to check whether A plus is a subgroup of R plus or not. So what we have to do, so one more thing, before checking the subgroup you need to have this A should be non-empty. So the first condition is that A should be non-empty. Second thing for checking the subgroup is for AB in A, for AB in A minus B should be in A. So you need to check that A should be non-empty. Second thing is for AB in A minus B should be in A. Minus B means additive inverse of B. So A minus B should be in A. And third we need to check, so after doing this two checking you will be able to check that this is an abelian group. And now for this to be a semi group we need to check that this dot should be a binary operation. So dot should be binary operation means dot should be an operation from A cross A to A. So if you will take two elements of A, the resultant should be an element of A. So it means for AB in A into B should be in A. So these three things you have to check whether a given subset of a subring, given subset of a ring is a subring or not. So let us do one example to understand it. So let me come to example. So we will understand this test by this example. Suppose we have a ring R is Z plus dot. This is the ring. Now I take a subset. Suppose I take a subset to be 3Z. 3Z is a subset of Z and we want to check whether 3Z is a subring or not. So the first thing is that 3Z is non-empty. Why? Because 3 belongs to this set. Second thing is that take two elements from the set 3Z. So any element of the set 3Z will look like 3 times some integer. Suppose one element is like this. And another element I take 3 times some another integer Z2 in 3Z. So I take two elements in this set. Now what about their difference? 3 Z1 minus 3 Z2. This is 3 times Z1 minus Z2. But Z1 minus Z2 is again an integer, so it belongs to 3Z. So the second condition is satisfied. And now what about third? So let us check the third one. Now let us check the third condition. So again take two elements 3Z1 and suppose I take 3Z2 in 3Z. So we have to see its product. So 3Z1 into 3Z2, this can be written as 3 times Z1 Z2. So here there is multiplication. So again this is 3 is an integer, Z1 is an integer, Z2 is an integer, so this is an integer, and 3 times this means this belongs to the set 3Z. So 3Z1 3Z2 belongs to 3Z implies this belongs to 3Z. So 3Z is a 3Z with respect to plus and dot is a subring. On the same way, similarly, we can show that NZ plus dot, this is a subring. of z plus dot, where n is any integer, and we have checked that any subgroup of z is of the form nz, and now it means every subgroup of z is actually a subring. Okay, now come to another example. So now we know z plus dot. This is a ring. It is contained in Q plus dot. This is also a ring. This is contained in R plus dot, and this is contained in C plus dot. But all these plus are same. So it means this is a subring of this ring, this is a subring of this ring, this is a subring of this ring. Now come to another example. Now suppose we have a n cross n matrices over Z. This is a ring we know with respect to addition and multiplication of matrix. So let me not write addition and multiplication again and again. This is contained in set of all n cross n matrices over Q. This is contained in set of all n cross n matrices over R. This is contained in the set of all n cross n matrices over C. So we have M n cross n over C. And because we have checked while doing the examples of ring that these all are rings with respect to the addition and multiplication of matrices, so the operation in all these rings are same. Because it is contained in it, so it is actually a subring by the definition of subring. One more thing I would like to add. We have done the Gaussian ring of Gaussian integer Z. This is contained in C, and it is itself a ring with respect to the multiplication and addition of complex number, so it is actually a subring. Similarly, if you see Z under root 2 or Z under root n, this is contained in R, so it is a subring of R. So there are several examples of subrings. Now come to another example. We have defined direct product of groups while doing groups. Just like groups, we can define direct product of rings also. So to give some more example, let me define the direct product of rings. Suppose R1 plus dot and R2 plus dot are two rings. When we are saying it like that, this is R1 plus dot and R2 plus dot, it means this plus is different from this plus, but for our convenience we are writing both operations as plus plus and dot dot. So it is actually the plus addition defined on this ring that may be totally different from the addition defined on this ring. Okay, So suppose these are two rings, so consider a set R to be the Cartesian product of R1 cross R2. Define plus from R cross R to R as, so take two element in R. So suppose I take A1 B1 and another element is A2 B2. So this plus is this plus R cross R, this is one element of R, this is another element of R, and this is defined as A1 plus A2 and B1 plus B2. This is B1 plus B2. Now similarly we can define another operation. Now note one thing, that this A1 plus A2 means this is the operation of R1, because A1 A2 are elements of R1. So where A1 A2 belongs to R1 and B1 and B2 belongs to R2. So these are two elements of R2. So B1 plus B2, so this plus is an operation of R2. So where the plus is used, that will decide the plus comes from which set or which ring. So let us define another operation. So define dot from R cross R to R as A1, so same elements we are taking, B1 dot A2 B2. So this is the dot which we are going to define, and this is defined as A1 A2, means A1 dot A2 comma B1 dot B2 where A1 A2 again belongs to R1 and B1 B2 belongs to R2. Now in the lecture, you can see in the lecture direct product of groups. We have proved that R with respect to plus is a group. The identity of this group is, that is the additive identity of this group is 0 0, where this is additive identity of R1 and this is additive identity of R2. So this is a group, and 0, 0 is additive identity of this group. For our convenience, we are using both as 0 0. Otherwise, we can write 0 1 0 2. There is no problem. So this is a group. Now this is not hard. So I am leaving it as an exercise. Verify that R with respect to dot is a semi group. And dot is distributive over plus. So this is not hard to verify. So this means this R plus dot is a ring. So given two different rings, we have made one bigger ring. R plus dot, and this ring is called the direct product of R1 and R2. So R plus dot is called direct product of R1 and R2. R plus dot is called direct product of R1 and R2, and we usually denote it as R is equal to R1 cross R2, that is direct product of rings R1 and R2. Now I will give you an example of subring. Now consider a subset R1 cross 0, where 0 is the multiplicative identity, 0 is the additive identity of the ring R2. Okay, one thing I would also like to mention, that R plus is a group, but because R is a product of R1 and R2, and R1 and R2 both are abelian, so this is actually an abelian group. So abelian group, this is identity, this is semi group and distributive Lahoud, so it is a ring. And after that this ring is called direct product. We denote it as R1 cross R2, and now I am considering a subset inside that ring, and this is A comma 0, such that A belongs to R1. This is the subset. And similarly consider another subset 0 cross R2, 0 B. Here this 0 is the additive identity of R1, such that B belongs to R2. So again I am leaving it as an exercise for you to verify that R1 cross 0 and 0 cross R2 are subrings of R. So these are also the examples of subring. Now let us do some observations. Observation. Number 1. So let me write it here. Observation number 1. Now we have seen that 2Z is a subring of Z. Now note one thing, that Z has multiplicative identity. But 2Z does not have multiplicative identity. Because the elements of 2Z's are of the form 2 times something, and when 2 times something you will multiply to another 2 times something, it will never. So suppose this is working as an identity element, then it will never turns out to be 2 times Z2, because you can cancel it and you have 2 Z1 is equal to 1, so Z1 has to be 1 by 2. That is not possible. So no, not any element of 2Z is working as an identity element. So this is a ring, this is a subring, which does not have multiplicative identity. Similarly, if you take nz where n is not equal to plus minus 1, then this ring is subring without identity. Subring without identity. Identity means multiplicative identity. So the conclusion is that subring of a ring with identity need not be with identity. So ring is with identity, but the subring does not have identity. That may happen, and this is the example where it is happening. Now, it may also happen that the identity of the ring and the identity of the subrings are different. Consider a ring Z6. This is a ring with respect to the modulo addition and multiplication operation, and the elements of this ring, if you think, this is 0 bar, 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 bar, 4 bar, 5 bar, and that's all. Okay. Now consider a subset 0 bar, 2 bar, 4 bar. First of all, it is a subgroup. This is a subgroup generated by 2. So it is a subgroup. Now if you take the product of any two, you will remain inside it, and this product is associative also. So, and plus is also distributive over dot, because here it is distributive over dot. So this is a subring. So let me call it H, and you can see one is not here. So let us see what is the property of 2 into 4. If you will do, then what will you get? You will get 6 bar, sorry, you will get 8 bar. 8 bar is 2 bar again. Now if you will do 2 into 2, if you will multiply the same thing, sorry, it is 4 bar into 2 bar. So when you multiply 2 bar with 4 bar, you are getting 2 bar. So is it working like identity? So it should be true for 4 bar also. This is 16 bar. This is 4 bar. Yes. So 4 bar. 4 bar is multiplicative identity. So the thing is that the identity of the ring and the identity of the subring may be different. So identity of ring and identity of subring may be different. So this is second observation. First observation is that subring may not have identity even if the ring has identity. Second observation is that identity of subring may be different with the identity of the ring. Now come to another observation. Observation number 3rd. Now, note one thing, that this ring was not an integral domain. Suppose R is an integral domain and S is its subring. Further, suppose E1 is multiplicative identity of R and E2 is multiplicative identity of S. Now, because E2 is multiplicative identity of S, so E2 into E2 if you will do, you will get E2. Now, because E1 is multiplicative identity of whole ring, so E2 into E1 will be E2 because E1 is the multiplicative identity of whole ring. Now this is the integral domain, and in integral domain cancellation law hold. So we can cancel this with this, and this implies E2 is equal to E1. So it means in an integral domain, if subring has identity, then that identity will be same as the identity of the group. But subring must have an identity. For example, in Z, this subring does not have identity. So it is not necessary that the subring has identity, but if subring has identity, then that identity will be same as the identity of the group. So let us write it. In an integral domain, so let me write ID for integral domain with identity if a subring has identity, then both identities are same. So this problem is only for those rings which are not integral domain. In case of integral domain, this will not happen. It may happen that the subring does not have identity, but if the subring has identity, then it will be same as the identity of the group, identity of the whole ring. Now come to the next observation, third, fourth. We have just now seen the direct product of rings. So suppose I take one ring Z and I take another ring 3Z. So 3Z is also a ring. Now, is this ring has identity element? So how a general element of this ring will look like? A, 3B. And if you will multiply it by any another element, C into 3D suppose, okay, then the product will be AC and 3 square BD. So suppose it is working as an identity element, then it should be equal to C plus 3D, sorry, C comma 3D. So if we will compare it, then A has to be 1 and 3D if you are taking, then 3B has to be 1. So it's okay, A is an element of Z, so A can be 1, but 3B is equal to 1 is not possible in 3Z. So it means this has no identity. So it is a direct product of two rings and this ring has no identity. But this ring has a subring. We have seen this is a subring where 0 is the 0 element of this ring. This is a subring and this subring has one element 1 0. This is identity element. Why is it identity element? Because take any element of this ring, any element of this ring will look like A0, and if you will multiply it by 1 0, by the definition of multiplication you will get it A0 from both the sides. So this is 1 0 and A0. So this is the identity element. So it may happen that the ring does not have any identity element, but the subring has identity element. So ring subring may have identity element but subring subring may have identity element but ring may not have. But ring may not have identity element. Ring may not have identity element. So it may happen. Okay, while doing the examples of subring, two more example let me add. So suppose R is a ring and 0 is its multiplicative identity, then this is a subring. This is also a subring and it is quite easy to verify, and R itself is a subring because it satisfies all the condition of being a subring. So, and this subring is called trivial subring. Trivial subring, and this is called improper subring. So proper subring mean a subring which is not equal to R, and non-trivial subring mean a subring which is not equal to 0. So this thing you should keep in mind.